would Caitlin Clark get a buck? Was she scoring a big three?
No. I mean, she'd score eventually, but would she have problems getting her shot off? Yes, she'd be muffled.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Nah, the second part, what you said, would she score at some point? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, would a ball come in and it'd be a
just off the natural moving around.
Right.
Yes.
Would there be a layup? But I'm just telling you, could you imagine Patrick Beverly just saying, okay, girl, let me show you something about men's basketball.
Right.
It blows my mind, Steve, that these cats really believe. Like, you're not even going to get a shot off on Steven Jackson, 45 years old, in Big Three. Sorry.
Well, he's 6'7". He probably not going to be guarding her, but.
Well, they're all that tall in the Big Three. Smitty, who do you got? Abdul Raif, who's 6'3"?
I'm just telling you.
She'll score when we feel sorry, and Ice Cube says,
hey. Look, would she have open shots? Would someone lay off her? Yes. But on a consistent level, her trying to even put the ball on the floor and making progress would be very difficult. The reach of these guys' arms and just the ability to get on top of a shot, it would be very difficult for her to score consistently or even get clean looks.
Well, hold on real quick. I'm with you. Consistently, no one says she's going to average 12 points. JB has came on the show and asked me directly, could she just score? And we've all watched and played basketball. It's not as if even the great defenders, they're not just for the entirety of the game, just this close on you. And she has crazy range, and all she needs is a little bit of space to make a shot, like you said. Like,
but Smitty, if I'm a guy and I'm but Smitty, think about the male ego. If I'm on national TV, do you want to be the guy that, man, Caitlin Clark cooked that dude?
But
I'd be like,
again,
no,
making a shot ain't cooked. That's all I'm saying.
Right,
like,
but
she can make a three.
If I am the coach of that opposing team, I'm going to go old school Greg Williams. I'm going to put up a bounty. Every block shot, I'm giving you $50. Every time you rip the ball for her, $50. But every time she scores, I'm taking $500.
She might be really scaring y'all. You got to put a bounty against Caitlin Clark.
I am proving a point. I'm like, fellas, come here.
Hey, Steve.
Caitlin Clark's going to have a great game. Not against us. I'm going bad boys. I'm going bad. She comes into the paint. Bang! You want equal rights? Hey, equal left.
Steve, she scores when Ice Cube has a meeting and says, I'm paying this broad $5 million. Let her score. That is when she scores. Imagine this shot, Steve, coming from her hip, and then has to get it up and shot. Steven Jackson throws that shit in the third fucking row.
JB has not watched a single game, and I don't think Steve has either. So like,
because you're gonna play men, Smitty.
You ain't watched a single game, so it's hard to even argue with y'all when y'all haven't even watched her play. So
I've seen women's basketball, Smitty. Come on.
All I'm saying is y'all
couldn't beat a good Crenshaw high school team.
I get that we don't respect women in sports. I get it, but all I'm saying is to say that Caitlin Clark couldn't make one. To say Caitlin Clark couldn't make one shot, Steve.
I didn't say that.
Lord
I'm saying
Jesus,
she could not get her shot off consistently.
Well, I think we're saying the same thing then. JB's the one that's saying she couldn't even get one shot. I'm not saying you have to, like I said, she's gonna go average 20 and 10 and 5 in a Big Three.
She couldn't score. I'm telling you, she can't score.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, real quick before you get out of here, 2 minutes. I want to ask you a question to address somebody in the chat that we have a historian on the show right now. Please break down the difference between Cheryl Miller and fucking Caitlin Clark. I want to be clear here to Joe Accord in the chat that said Cheryl Miller played against nobody when she played. And this era of women's basketball is better than when Cheryl Miller played.
Well, it may have been, but Cheryl Miller was 2-3 generations ahead of her time.
Three at least.
She had great length, good size, and she's among the most complete ball players. She could play multiple positions. She had an unbelievable amount of guts. She had a lot of moxie, great skill. She could post you up a little bit. She could face up. She had range. Look, she was a big thing. She grew up in Riverside, athletic family. People remember Reggie. I also remember the other brother, Darrell Miller, was a major league catcher. So she came from a great gene pool. I mean, you're talking about 3 multi-big-time athletes, but Cheryl Miller could do more on the floor in my view. She could rebound. She was tough. She'd get under people's skin. when I think of women's basketball, she's one of the first people I think of, her and Lisa Leslie, because of their size and the fact they're from LA. And so I'm a little biased there. Lisa Leslie was from, I believe, Inglewood. I think she went to Morningside High School, scored 100 points, I think, in like a game.
Yeah. High school. Yeah.
Half. Yeah. So obviously she was playing against a lot of short Asians from Alhambra or something. But, you know, when I think of women's basketball who are multifaceted, I do think of women like Cheryl Swoops. There it is. That big hater. Good.
Yeah, but
she's a great player, though, you know.
Yeah, right now we're just talking about college, though, and like the all-time college greats. And
Cheryl was a great college.
No, for sure. All these players
Lynette Woodard was another pioneer. You know,
and
I talked a lot more women's college basketball than I thought I would today.
Joe, I want to ask you a question in the chat real quick. Kim Mulkey was a phenomenal player in college, just FYI. Do you think her and Caitlin Clark had similar games? I just want to ask that question to you. Kim Mulkey got to the paint, by the way, much better than Caitlin Clark did.
By the way, I want to mention one women's college basketball player that I really like, because she handled the ball very well. It was a point guard out of Long Beach State. I happened to see her a few times. I remember prime ticket was Penny Toller. Penny Toller from Long Beach State had handles.
Olympian.
Yeah, she was slick. Now, her game, I was like, you know what, lady, you can play the ball game. I went to Long Beach State last year for a Golden Boy promotions fight, and she's up there. They had a bunch of murals of Byron Russell, guys that played there, and I saw Penny Toller. I had to give her a thumbs up and a salute. Penny Toller could play. Another a really good little guard from the late 80s, Jennifer Azzi out of Stanford. She was an All-American. I liked her game. She's kind of like a Bobby Hurley type.
Hey.
But there should be no slander of Miss Cheryl Miller. She can play.
Here. No, they're talking about eras, and I was looking at the eras, and I'm like, oh, the women competition at that time was unfucking believable. I said, Kim Mulkey, by the way, my point was Kim Mulkey was really, really good, one of the best players in the country at that time. Cheryl Miller fucking locked her down in the tournament.
You know, when Reggie Miller was still developing at UCLA, I'll never forget this line from Curry Kirkpatrick, great all-time.
You said a girl can't lock down Caitlin Clark. That's my point.
Yeah. Kim Mulkey was 5'4", though. But
yeah, it's a little different. Kim Mulkey
5'4", and Cheryl Miller was 6'2". He better lock her down.
Cheryl Miller was so good that when Reggie Miller was a young, developing player at UCLA, Curry Kirkpatrick, who was a hilarious writer at Sports Illustrated, he was their main college basketball guy. And UCLA was going through some issues with Walt Hazzard in their first year. Nobody knew what Reggie Miller would become. He was just this long, stringy beanpole guy. And he said, Reggie Miller. He said, yeah, it's the first player in UCLA history who'd get his butt kicked by his sister in a game of one-on-one.
Yeah, and Reggie admitted that.
Until one day when Cheryl Miller said, get your skinny ass up. And all of a sudden, he rose from bed and he kept rising and rising. And rising, and he looked up and Reggie said, yeah, Cheryl said, yeah, those days are over.
Reggie became Reggie. Yeah.